Good morning, everybody. This is the Biology Bi-Weekly Review Worksheet for Grade 7, Semester 4 for the weeks 2 and 3 at the International School of Innovation. Let's start with question number 1. A plant is placed in a tightly closed graduated cylinder that contains a small bottle of clear lime water. The lime water that's present in the bottle, it's a clear one. This setup is connected to an oximeter. This oximeter, it records the amount of oxygen. Oximeter. We record the values recorded or registered by the oximeter in the table below. This experiment can be performed in darkness or in light, and at the same temperature, it always gives the same result. We have a note here that the lime water is turbid. Turbidity of lime water indicates the presence of carbon dioxide. The oximeter results give the following table. In this table, we have time in minute and the oxygen in percentage. At time 0, it was 20%. At time 30 minutes, it was 18%. At time 60 minutes, it was 16, 90, it was 14, 120, it was 12, and 150, it was 10. First part A, represent this table in form of graph showing the variation of oxygen in percentage with respect to time in minute. B, what does the turbidity of lime water indicate? C, you have to analyze. Analyze, I don't tell you to have a conclusion, to write a conclusion. This is only analysis. You have only to analyze. First one, part A, you have to draw a graph. You have to draw a graph that represents time in minute as a function of the percentage, in oxygen as a function of time in minute. So the graph should be going down like this. What does part B, the turbidity of lime water, indicate? Yes, Muhammad Hassan?
The turbidity of lime water becomes less.
The turbidity of lime water becomes less. They say, what does the turbidity of lime water indicate? Yes, Abbas?
It indicates the presence of CO2.
Presence of carbon dioxide. Presence of carbon dioxide gas. This is the turbidity of lime water. Turbidity of lime water indicates the presence of CO2, carbon dioxide. C, analyze the obtained graph. Yes, Lynn, analyze.
As time of the experiment passes from 0 to 150 minutes,
Yes.
the percentage of oxygen decreases from 20 to become
Yes.
10 at the end of
10 what?
10%
at the end of the experiment. Okay, so the first graph you have to draw, the first part, you have to draw the graph showing the variation of oxygen percentage with respect to time in minute. You have to put the legend, time, minute, and you have to put oxygen percentage. You have to put the title for the graph. What is the title of this graph? Graph showing the variation of the oxygen percentage with respect to time in minute or as a function of time in minute. Moving to part B, what does the turbidity of lime water indicate? This indicates the presence of carbon dioxide, which is CO2. You have to write carbon dioxide, not CO2, unless I wrote this. Part C, analyze the obtained graph. You have to see at the time of the experiment passes from 0 to 150 minutes, the percentage of oxygen decreases from 20% to reach 10% at the end of the experiment. Moving to question number 2. The experiment below is done to precise the location of the absorption of water along the roots. Here we have a plan where the root cap and the root hairs, they are placed in water, while other part they are placed in oil. The second part, the root cap and the root hairs, they are placed outside water. This is the root hairs and the root cap. While in tube C, the root hairs, they are placed in water, while the root cap is placed outside water. They say that after 6 hours of the experiment, the green plants in tube A and C survive. They remain alive, while the plant in tube B wilts, withers, and it will die. Part 1. Analyze the obtained results. Yes, Tala. Analyze the obtained results.
After placing the young plant in tube A, where the root hairs and the root cap are placed in water,
Yes.
it survives, and the plant in tube C, where the root hairs are placed in water, and the root cap
And the root cap is
placed outside in
yes.
water. It also survives, while the plant in tube B, where the root hairs and the root cap are not placed in water, it
will. Okay. So what can you conclude? Thank you, Tala. What can you conclude, Lua, about this experiment? What is the conclusion here?
We conclude that the root hairs are responsible for the absorption of water.
Root hairs, they are they're responsible for the absorption of water and not the root cap. So analysis, you have to say after placing the young plant in tube A, where the root hairs and the root cap are placed in water, it survives. And the plant in tube C, where the root hairs are placed in water and the root cap is placed outside water, also it survives. Why the plant in tube B, where the root hairs, they are placed outside water with the root cap, it wilts and eventually it will die. Conclusion here, we can conclude that the root hairs and not the root cap is responsible for the absorption of water in plants. Moving to question number 3. In vascular plants, we have two types of conducting vessels. These are called Xylem vessels and phloem vessels. The Xylem vessels are very fine tubes, are made of dead plant cells. The Xylem vessels, they transport the crude sap from the roots to the stem and up to the green leaves, and moreover they transport the crude sap from the root hairs up to the root, then to the stem, and finally to the leaves. The main factor which helps the green plant to transport the crude sap upward against gravity is due to the presence of an upward pressure. This is what we call this by root pressure. Answer the questions below with the help of the above text. This is the highlighted one, this is the underlined one, the bold one. Using the above text, you have to answer. Question number 1, say the name of the two types of conducting vessels. B, the Xylem vessels are made up of what? What are the components of the Xylem vessels? C, indicate the role, which is the function of the Xylem vessels. Indicate the pathway of the crude sap. What is the main factor which helps in the upward movement of the crude sap? Let's start with the first part. A, give the name of the two conducting vessels. Yes, Allah. Two names of the conducting vessels. Xylem vessels and the phloem. Xylem and phloem. Moving to B. The Xylem vessels are made up of what? Muhammad Ali.
Of dead cells.
Xylem vessels are made up of dead cells. Xylem vessels are made up of dead what, Muhammad?
Dead plant cells.
Dead plant cells. Moving to part C. Indicate the role or the function of the Xylem vessel. Yes, Joel. The function of the Xylem or the role of the Xylem vessel.
Transport crude sap from the root up to the leaves.
Transport the crude sap. This is the main function, transportation of the crude sap from the roots up to the leaves. And to be more clear, from the root hairs up to the leaves. Moving to part D, indicate the pathway. The pathway of the crude sap. Yes, Linda. Pathway of the crude sap. First, from the root hairs. Try to use arrows whenever you are solving a pathway. Okay? Try to use arrows. Root hairs. Then to the roots. After this, they go to the stem. And then to the leaves. To the flower. Yes. Okay, so the main pathway is from root hairs to the root, then to the stem and eventually to the leaves. Moving to part E. What is the main factor which helps in the upward movement of the crude sap? Yes, Muhammad Hassan.
The presence of an upward pressure.
What do we call this pressure?
Root pressure.
Root pressure. Okay, so in this one, the name of the xylem, name the two conducting vessels, we said they are xylem and phloem. The xylem vessels are made up of what? They are made of dead plant cells. Indicate the role or the function of the xylem vessels. Main role is to transport the crude sap. Pathway of the crude sap, we say that the pathway from the crude sap is from the root hairs to the roots, to the stem, and finally to the leaves. What is the main factor which helps in the upward movement? Presence of a upward pressure. This is known by the root pressure. Okay, thank you.